Hello everyone, and welcome to Downhaven Entertainment. Today we will be reviewing Skyfall. Okay, as of now, Quantum of Solace was just James Bond's dream we had a few years back. Yes, as of now, it's only Casino Royale and Skyfall. Okay, so anyway, I've never been a huge James Bond fan, mainly because I've never watched the classics and remembering being introduced to James Bond through these movies. So yes, I was the guy that was asking what's so great about these Bond movies, until a few months ago my friend forcefully introduced me to Casino Royale, and yeah, I definitely saw the potential of the rebooted James Bond. Though the non-existent sequel was not great, I still like the characters. So when I heard about Skyfall, I felt good and bad about the news, 50-50 if you will. Now, what I liked about Casino Royale was the more realistic take on the Bond universe. Bond wasn't a pretty boy, it had great subtle character development. For example, you got the idea of why Bond is so distrustful in women and why he treats women the way he does.
He's a scorned player.
He was also very human. Though he shrugs off killing people, you can see it in Bond's eyes when death came upon a person who didn't deserve it. He felt bad about it, and bullets hit him from time to time, and he made mistakes. This one was the complete opposite, and I despised it. But it's okay, this was James Bond dreaming, so whatever. So what of the official second James Bond film of the rebooted franchise Skyfall? Well, let's get into the movie. The movie stars Daniel Craig as James Bond. This guy is official. I'm pretty sure every man wants to be this guy, well, except for me, because I'm already perfect, but you get what I mean. And let's be honest, guys, Daniel Craig is a funny looking guy. He's ugly, but if this guy was #1 on the list for the sexiest man alive, I could see it. Yeah, I said it, I don't care, I'm secure. And when this guy is Bond, he got it down to a T. The way he talks, walks, runs, dresses, just swagger, all swag. And when he bags a chick, I'm like, yeah, I can see that happening. Daniel Craig, superb job. Javier Bardem as Raoul Silva, and wow, this guy is like the Joker of the James Bond universe. This guy has some of the best charisma I've seen on the screen since Joker or Bane. He's likable. I mean, he's bad, yet I still liked him regardless of him doing bad things. He's a guy who hasn't yet lost all his marbles, but he's definitely nuts, yet collected. But at any time, this guy could just lose it, and he plays it marvelously. Superb job. Naomi Harris is Eve. I loved her in this movie. She wasn't in it much, but when she is in it, she's a strong female character, tough as nails, yet soft to the touch.
What?
Just roll with it. Ben Whishaw as Q. This guy is a great actor. Props. Now let's talk about what worked for the movie. The chemistry between the actors. All of these actors put on the great show. They were all a joy to watch. For example, there was one scene where Bond is trying to get info from someone, and when Bond struck a wrong chord with the character got nervous right then and there and just told a whole story on just how bad our main antagonist is, just by body language alone. They shared only like maybe 5 or 10 minutes on screen together, and I felt for the character. Not just them though, it's like 90% of them. It was just cool to watch. There was quite a few moments in this movie where tension had me on the edge of my seat, all done very well. The music. Now this already works, mainly because it already has a memorable theme, but what really stood out to me is when the composer and the director knew when to turn off the music. And when you do this right, it makes more of a dramatic impact. And I've always hated music that constantly goes on, always telling you how to feel. But when you take out the music, your mind flips into another mode, making you pay attention and helps make a good scene more memorable, like the Bourne fights or the Dark Knight interrogation scene and the chase scene. And I noticed in the movie, every time they present the antagonist, there is no musical score, which worked. I got the sense of the intensity when he was on the scene. Oh, at one point, the music went back to the original 60 James Bond music, so vintage, so official. Thumbs up. The antagonist himself. This guy was awesome in the movie. Interesting backstory, interesting motivation, interesting person, interesting skills. Now, I could talk about this guy all day, so I'm just gonna sum it up with a superb job. It avoided a cliche plot that movies have. Two things with this. There's not much love interest going on here, which is a breath of fresh air. I urge you to notice next time that about 90% of movies, whether it be action or drama, has a love interest that's either forced or established, which usually slows down the movie because there has to be forced dilemma on the love interest, so you have that dry spot in the movie, even when it comes to friendship. Buddies always breaking up friendship and then they get back together, you know? There has to be some sort of dilemma between the characters. This movie was straightforward. A team setting out to stop a bad guy, no time for drama, get to the point. And the second thing, also bringing in a character, having the character likable, and having the character die. So the protagonist has motivations to stop the antagonist. This movie avoided that. Yet, I think I know why. What? Those were his? And that happened? And that happened to Bond at what age?
Alright, sequel plot.
But I'm just guessing. But I'd love if the sequel based a movie on that situation. You know what I mean. Hopefully. Thumbs up. The look of the movie. It was just a treat to look at this movie. It was beautiful, especially when they went to Shanghai. All of those colors of the buildings were reflecting all over the place, and on the highway, it was just beautiful. And there was a part in this movie where the scenery had no artificial lights around, so it started to get dark, and the scenery got dark, and it gave the scene an interesting feel. Just dark blue is just really neat. And the intro was a masterpiece, of course. Superb job. And lastly, the action and the stunts. This was done very well and felt very believable. There was one scene where you see a fight and there were like no cuts, just one camera on the fight, and the fight was so fast paced and choreographed so well that it was believable, and that's just rare in movies. Now let's talk about what didn't work. There were some parts in this movie where the character could just kill another character but decide to talk and the enemy got away, which was a little tiresome and cliche. You have Bond there, shoot him. I mean, you did all of this crap to try to kill him. Why just talk to him now when he's obviously in your way? Shoot him or shoot at him, miss him or something. And it was also vice versa between the antagonist and the protagonist. But really, I can overlook that. But that's pretty much it. The movie to me was a blast. I walked out of the movie in a good mood. And what I liked about the movie is that the first half felt like a James Bond movie while the other half felt like, I don't know, something else. But they incorporate that in the story very well. And it also expanded James Bond's character and made him more human. So I'm getting very invested in this character. This movie is very aware of itself, and it had me entertained the whole time with great plot, characters, and music. And everyone was just so cool in this movie, yet human and fleshed out. So despite my one minor issue I have with the film, I give it a solid A.